back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And as always, I have a very special guest for you, Nadia Dieudonne, founder of Feet of Rhythm Dance Company. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Nadia Dieudonne. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. You know that we love having people who are doing great things in the community. And you are definitely doing something great in the community.
Thank you.
You were very sought after, and we said, we got to get you in our chair. So how I want to start off the show, like I usually always do, is my favorite question is, who is Nadia Dieudonne?
Oh my, Nadia Dieudonne is a very simple person, but at the same time very creative. I am a dancer, choreographer, and dance educator. I've been doing Haitian dance for a long time. I've been working with the youth for a very, very long time as well. And right now I'm teaching for the Department of Education as a dance teacher.
Wow, so definitely strong background in dance.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take that away from you. You definitely know your stuff. You got the foundation with it. So let's talk about, when did you actually get your love for dance? How did that all start?
Oh my God, this love affair started since I was a little girl.
Okay, I want to hear about that love affair.
I always knew I wanted to dance. That was always my thing. I was always the highlight of the parties, the family parties. But the person who really introduced me to dance was my sister. She was a dancer, and she used to dance with Igbo dancers. And I would just love going to the rehearsals with her, watching her with Dr. Frank and his wife, Paulette Saint-Lô. And I would always just be mesmerized by them. And also with Miriam Doisme, I started dancing with her. She was my first mentor as a dancer as a child. She took me under her wings, her niece, her daughter, and we used to dance and travel together a lot.
That is amazing. So how was your family's reception when you told them, hey, I want to be a dancer? Because I know when you have a Caribbean family, they don't take the arts thing that seriously. It's a harder sell.
You're right about that. At first, my mother wasn't too pleased about it, but again, I've been saying it since I was a little girl. And I remember when I initially talked about it a lot as a child, and then she didn't encourage me, of course. And then I told her, wait, you'll see one day I'll be on TV. And I remember my first big television appearance with Gaga Machine would perform at the Apollo Theater. And at that time, that show used to come on Channel 11. And I was like, and when she saw me, she was like, oh my God, you did tell me as a child that I would one day see you on television. So, yeah, but my mother was one of my biggest supporters. Never missed a show. Always there. She was my number one seamstress.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to have a costume.
Correct. And those could be very expensive. And, thank God I had her that was helping out with the costumes.
Amazing. So let's talk about Haitian dance for those in the audience who may not be familiar. I really kind of want to unpack that because there's so many different influences. Of course, you got the African influence. Got being, bordering Dominican Republic, you got a lot. I feel like those two dances have influenced each other because even merengue comes from a lot of the Haitian style as well. But you're the experts. I'll let you fill us in.
Well, basically, I do a lot of dances from the African diaspora, but of course my love for my homeland, my mother's homeland, is Haitian dance. And I do Haitian folklore, which stems from traditional dances in Haiti, traditional dances that you'll find in ceremonies or various lacos. And studying the Haitian dance, even though I was born and raised here, and I started learning Haitian folklore here, but I did go back to research and study these traditional forms of dances. in Haiti in certain lacos where they were the, I guess we'd say the gatekeepers or the bearers of the traditional culture. And from there, I would take these dances and these music and styles and incorporate it into my own. And that's how Feet of Rhythm was born.
Feet of Rhythm. And when did you launch Feet of Rhythm?
Wow, we started Feet of Rhythm in 1994, I believe. 1994. And then the children's company started 1 year later in 1995.
So it's been quite a while.
It's been quite a while. It's been quite a while.
You've been at this for a long time.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
And Feet of Rhythm, elaborate a little bit more of that. It's more than just a dance company.
Yes, I would agree. It's more than a dance company because I put the educational part of it, and that's why I work with the children. And even when I started the company, I always felt it was necessary to teach, pass the torch down to the younger generation. At the time, I was a teaching artist. I wasn't working for the DOE directly, but I was going in and doing these programs, especially a lot of the Haitian programs for Haitian Flag Day. I would go into a lot of schools, prepare them for that. And it was just so amazing how these children, they didn't care that it was Haitian dance, they didn't care that, it was African dance. It was just so thirsty and wanted to learn about their culture, wanted to learn about themselves. And they saw themselves in these types of dances, which is very important. And like I said, whether they were Haitian or non-Haitian, but it was just so important that they learn about the culture, learn about who we are, and the importance of Haitian history and culture through dance. And within that, it gave them some sort of self-empowerment. So,
and I feel especially it's cyclical. You would see where it's all of a sudden it became cool to be Haitian. There was like a little movement where all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, it's so cool to be Haitian, and everyone wanted to, Wyclef was kind of like one of the earlier ambassadors of really kind of pushing that out there. And then many others, would start associating and being proud of their Haitian heritage. And you would see that. You would see where people, the music and the dance, it would start being more mainstream.
Correct.
And different things like that. So as that became more popular, did you see an increase in the school of people wanting to come to Feet of Rhythm to learn Haitian dance, or just get more requests for you to choreograph things?
Correct. I definitely got a lot of more requests to choreograph. And again, it also started dispelling that myth about Haitian dance being, evil, or the negative connotations that we see on Halloween for voodoo dancers. And again, I'm not going to say the base of it is based on voodoo dances, but again, we as artists, we create that folklore that where we can present it to the stage. We're not presenting a ceremony, but we're presenting our history, our culture. We're presenting stories that we find within our culture as well. And as we're bringing it back to the children, giving them ownership, being proud of who they are, we presented Haitian dance in many various venues, but the kids, I highlight them in Brooklyn during the Children's Labor Day Parade. And there we represent Haiti with the children. And then I also incorporate them in also learning how to create these costumes, how to embellish. So it gave them another sense of pride because now they had ownership of what they were actually participating in. They not only danced it, but they also prepared to make the costumes and to be part of this movement.
Amazing. We'll hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. We'll be right You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So Nadia, when you decided, you're going to make this happen, more requests are coming in, and the museum and all these great things, how do you keep up on your end, keeping up with the trends and keep learning? Because I always think we're always forever students ourselves, right? Have you went back to Haiti and ever really got to really just get to immerse yourself fully.
Yes, and I did that maybe in the early 90s where I really consistently have gone to these lacus to study these traditional dance. I've worked with a lot of artists in Port-au-Prince
Okay,
and
great.
at IRNATS, which is a school that Lavinia William had opened in Haiti for art. So it has art, dance, sculptures, theater. I've danced with a lot of local dance companies when I go to Haiti. Every opportunity I get. The last time 3 years ago when I went to Haiti, I hook up with dancers, and I'm always constantly learning, always constantly refreshing my craft.
That's amazing. And I think that's something that's needs to be done. It should be done because even though you're taking the traditional, there's traditional elements, but things still evolve. Things still move.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say is what you enjoy best about all of this? Not just, and it's a twofold question. Of course, there's the business aspect of it, which we'll touch
Mm-hmm.
on in a little bit. But I guess just being a dancer.
I mean, it's just the feeling, the passion that you have, and when you're dancing and when you're on stage or you're working choreographing, is there's no other feeling. This I can't even describe it as an artist, but it's that inner joy, that inner peace you get when you're truly doing something that you love.
Yeah. And I can sense that. And I can see it's beaming on your face when you're talking about it. So the passion is there and it comes off. But on the business end, you have this is still a business. Feet of Rhythm is a business and you have to operate like a business. So let's talk about the career challenges and some of the highlights as well.
I mean, the biggest challenge is always securing funds, when we're doing our own production, when we're participating in the parades, when we're doing things that are not necessarily going to give us money, but in terms of promotion, we still have to represent ourselves
True.
well. So that's always the hardest part is the securing the money to having the seed money to make these dreams possible, but that would be my biggest challenge.
And career highlights.
Oh my God, there's so many.
So many great people that you've worked with, right?
Yes, so many great people. I mean, we opened up for, I was one of the principal dancers for the Mick Jagger Voodoo Lounge tour.
Oh, wow.
I've gone to Japan with Bulu Valku and Azor, and then eventually gone back again on my own with my own dance company. So many great highlights. I've worked with wonderful, wonderful companies such as Dini Zulu African dancers and drummers and singers, and they're one of the oldest or perhaps first African American dance companies that was doing African dance here in the United States. So I've been fortunate to work with them, Charles Moore, and again, Miriam Doisme, who was one of my mentors as a child. But then as I started getting older, and like you said, learning the business part of it,
Yes.
I was fortunate to work with Jean-Léon Destiné, who was a Haitian dance icon, actually the first Haitian dancer to be put in the Hall of Fame of dance. And I
Oh,
was,
really?
yes, and I was fortunate to work with him for a long time. I performed with him, but I really worked with him a lot as an assistant teacher. So when he couldn't dance anymore, I became his legs. So we did a lot
Oh,
of
that's really
yes,
nice.
we did a lot of lecture demonstrations together, and he really taught me about the business aspect of running a dance company.
And that is so much like a wealth of knowledge. And that's why I said that because a lot of people have the creative aspect.
Hmm.
Being an artist, people love that part. But you forget that there's a whole business
It's a whole
behind this.
business.
And that's why a lot of people get burned in the long run because they just don't know the business part of it.
And I have to add, I do have a manager who is amazing. We've been working together since I started Feet of Rhythm. And she's really also helped me with the business aspect in terms of the contracts, reading the contracts, negotiating. She's also fortunate for me. She's a designer, fashion designer by trade. So again, with the designs of my costumes, she's embellished. And as you had mentioned before, things do move, they don't dance does move and flow, but also the costuming,
Oh, yeah.
embellishing them, making them appealing, but yet still keeping the tradition.
Yeah.
So
And that's finding that balance.
yes, and she was excellent at that, Cynthia Kara. And we've been, like I said, we've been working together for more than 20 years. And it's been, so she really keeps me afloat with the business aspect as well.
Amazing. How do you find that balance between, you know, doing your craft, your business, and your personal life?
What personal life?
I know, right? This is the life.
This is the life. No, I mean, yeah, you adjust, and sometimes I bring what I do to the stage in my personal life, meaning that I find myself to be more flexible and not get frazzled about change, because I can go to a show and then guess what? I have no sound system and the show must go on. Do I get upset and leave? No, you still perform. So sometimes I bring
Okay.
those elements into my personal life, which kind of keeps me balanced and makes me flexible, because I find people say, "Oh, you're so easy to work with." Yeah, you go with the flow. Things can change at any time, and so the show must go on.
Wow, and that's a great trait to be able, because like you said, if the music, you're still gonna you gotta move. You're not gonna not perform.
Correct. I've had times where I'm doing a costume change, and because I'm so sweaty, my costume can't fit on me at the moment. So improvise. You change. You do something else.
Yeah,
It's always something.
that's great. And you must have so many stories
I do for
of these
days.
things, of just last minute stuff that to the audience we wouldn't know, but you as a performer would know if the show didn't go as planned.
Correct.
Because I experienced the same thing. I'm in a similar field, like working on different projects and events and whatnot. And sometimes we would notice where there was a snafu, but to everybody else, they wouldn't have. But we know it's like, it wasn't meant to go this way.
And that's one thing I try to instill in my children. I'm like, look, it's okay. You're human. You make a mistake. It's how you fix a mistake, because the audience may not know that you had a mistake. But if your facial expression change, or you just stop
You
dancing, moving, then it's gonna be obvious
Right.
that something happened. But yeah,
Yeah, because they wouldn't know. And when you're watching it, as long as you just keep, making it seamless with everything else, I
and with
think
a smile on your face.
with a smile, and that's how you do it. I mean, that's truly amazing. I love that you teach your children that, to really just don't let it get the best of you. Just can't
Yeah.
keep going.
And as in anything in life, things will happen. You will make mistakes, but fixing the mistake
you
is
fix it.
it's how you fix it. That's important.
That's truly amazing. Well, we have one segment left. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So Nadia, of course, in this, I want to say post-COVID, but we're still in the middle of COVID still.
Still are.
Still COVID, but
Yeah.
I like to say post-COVID, like, moving in that direction.
Yes, moving in that direction.
How has the business changed for you with, these current times? We're on lockdown, we're not on lockdown, but they still have to be safe. So what are you doing at Feet of Rhythm to really ensure safety and all that good stuff?
Well, basically, we were on halt.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening. Theaters, everything were
Yeah.
closed.
That was the industry.
Performance venues were closed. Yeah, so I wasn't rehearsing either. It was a very difficult time for me, especially as an artist, because I thrive being around people. I can't take a dance class on Zoom. I mean, people have done it, but it
Yeah, it's
doesn't
not the same.
feed to me. It doesn't speak to me. Even teaching via Zoom didn't speak to me. I still had to do it for work, but it wasn't fulfilling. And I lost my mother during COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So again, my backbone in terms of, my costuming and just being my support system. So it was really difficult for me as an artist, because I missed that personal connection.
Yeah, you're still a screen. There's still a screen. There's that disconnect. That's
Yeah,
there.
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. So now fast forward a little bit, social media, you had to pivot. You definitely had to move. And so how has social media helped you?
Oh, it definitely has kept me in the loop. As in any artist, that's the biggest place we promote our work. And I've been doing a couple of workshops. I did a summer series. I'm doing a Giddy workshop in New Orleans. So definitely it's a platform that I use to keep myself relevant and to post the work that I'm doing.
And speaking of that, why don't you tell everybody at home how we can get in contact with you and share all of your social media?
Okay. Well, definitely you can find my information on my website at feetofrhythm.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can reach Cynthia Kaha for booking at 917-972-9798. You can also find all this information on our webpage and Instagram page.
Awesome. So they could send you a DM, they could see some of your work, they could do bookings.
Correct.
And if someone wants to book you, I mean, what are the types of, you do private, if someone wants to have Haitian dancing at their event?
Yes, you just give us a call. You give us the information in terms of what you're looking for, because sometimes people have very specific needs, especially when they're private events. But we do a lot of cultural festivals, cultural programs, and again, we do workshops as well, workshops for children and adults.
So when you do the children stuff, how young are the children?
Oh, for the parade, I take them as young as 6 months.
I love it. I love to see the babies in their costumes.
But really and truly, as long as they're able to move and follow directions between 2, 3,
Yep.
I keep them in the environment, and then by 5 years old, they start getting more invested into the choreographies. Yes.
And what about getting inspired and learning and trying to get more choreographs going for yourself? Like, how do you get inspired?
I mean, again, as an artist, I still take class. So one of my main sources of inspiration is still taking classes and working. And, our minds are always constantly going, as a teacher, as you're teaching something, I'm already preparing for my next choreography. As I'm doing one show, I'm already thinking about the next show. So again, one of my main sources of inspiration is constantly, taking classes, going to shows, supporting my fellow artists, participating in events that have, dances from the African diaspora. I dabble a little bit in Afro-Cuban dance as well.
And I was going to ask you, what are some of your other African diaspora dances that you enjoy?
Oh, yeah. I definitely, on the top of my list would be Afro-Cuban. I've worked with this wonderful woman called Lamorta, and I've gone to Cuba with her to study dance and also to participate in one of the festivals in Santiago.
Wow. So dance has really been that, I guess, passport for you to really see a lot of. Have you touched almost every continent by now?
No, not as a few.
Okay.
I definitely want to go to Africa. That's why.
Oh yes, you have not. You have not done.
I
Africa.
have not yet to go on there, but yes, it's definitely my passport to into other people's cultures and into my own culture as well.
Yeah, and kind of blending them.
Yes. Definitely. And, sometimes when I do my research, I don't look at the differences. I try to look at the similarities, And I just recently I did a workshop for, I participated in a dance festival, Dance Grenada, and it was just awesome to see the interconnections, how similar we are instead of being different, because we're always trying to people are always trying to tear us apart, especially Haitians. We always have a bad rap in terms of whether it's our culture, whether it's politically, and it's always like, okay, I want to shed a positive light, and I'm glad I'm able to do that through dance.
I was telling somebody earlier, I was like, whether you're from the English islands, the Spanish islands, or the French islands, we all have variations that are so similar between food, music, and everything else. The Caribbeans, it's big, but it's small at the same time.
Correct.
And Africa had their footprint on there.
Definitely.
So there's going to be similarities in the dance. There are a few islands, with the exception of a few islands, that had other, like Indians got dropped off in Trinidad and Guyana and Jamaica. But I mean, for the bulk of it, the rest of the Caribbean is African based.
Well, because basically those natives were in all the islands until
Yes.
they died off when they brought in the Africans. So definitely you see that their influence as well as the Africans that arrived to these Caribbean countries.
So I like that you specifically try to focus on the similarities, and there's a lot of similarities, and you could pinpoint it even in within. I was reading interesting statistics about Africa. In Brazil, they have the largest African population outside of Africa.
Correct, correct.
So when you think about it, it's like it's there.
Yep, it's definitely there. And I've had, so some of the lacus that I've gone, I know scholars who have come from Africa who have gone back to Haiti to these lacus to research African culture that was lost in Africa but was still preserved in Haiti.
See, there you go. Well, Nadia, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been amazing having you here.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place you're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.